Hello and welcome to Regulatory Solutions. This video is going to be a quick overview of our software that is needed for you to be able to file your BDC with us. So we'll just get straight into it. This is going to be a brief overview and it's going to be followed up by some more detailed videos on each section within the program. So the first thing we'll do is show you some stuff on the regular website that is important. So we have this app resources and downloads section. This was where you can download the template files that you're going to need if you want to do bulk uploads into the software. We have a latency test app that you can download and run on a Linux machine that's on your network. And by putting in IPs, this will report back to us some Linux. Some latency. So if you have low latency or high latency, which is a requirement for the report, the video tutorial, which we're doing here, and an app user guide. The other thing you want to be aware of here is the BDC fabric. If you don't have your fabric or you don't know how to get it, this is just a page that has instructions on how to go about doing that. And we'll be updating this if they update that. So that's basically it. So if you're new to the program, or even if you're not, and you need to get into the program, you just go to the sign up login button here at the top. And this is going to bring you to the login page. If you don't have an account, you can register here. And this is basic information: name, address, phone number, just stuff we need to contact you if we need to. Set up your password. If you have a referral code, there's several entities out there referring people to us. Just put that code in here and they'll get their credit. Also, you just click agree to our terms of service and register. We won't go through this because we don't want to waste time filling out forms on the video. Anyway, once we log in, we'll just go ahead and go to an account, a test account that we have here. And I'm just going to log in. So this brings us up to our dashboard. There are cards on the dashboard for each section of the program. These also show the status of this section of the program. So if it's a green circle, then that means that's complete. If it's yellow, it means it's partially complete. If it's a red triangle, then it's not done yet. So don't worry about if you first log in and you only see a couple of tiles. When you fill out this filer information, more tiles appear based on what you're going to be giving us. So if you say you're doing wireless or cable or fiber or whatever, more sections appear based on what you fill out there. So don't worry about all that right now. So the first thing we want to be concerned about is our period end date. Obviously, we are not in the June 30th, 2022 filing period anymore. So we need to create a new filing. So for the December period. So we're going to do that. And I'm just going to cancel that cart because I was testing this before to make sure it was right. So when you get here, you're going to see a drop down for the filing period. There should only be one there because we just have the one filing period that we haven't already signed up for. So we have some options here. We have the works package, which combines our BDC prep PE certification and the filing on your behalf. This also allows us to do one follow-up. So if you get a challenge, we'll handle one challenge for you at the end. We'll also do any refilings if there's mistakes or you want to adjust something, we can refile for you. That's all included. However, if you want us to continue to respond to challenges for you and or do multiple challenges, we recommend that you do the $25 per month BDC insurance. This just is a fee that keeps us kind of retained to come in and help you with those. We don't monitor these for you. We don't monitor your challenges or anything. You still have to do that, but we do help you challenge that, or submit things for that challenge process. So keep that in mind. And if you've already signed up for the BDC insurance, if you used us before, this tile shouldn't be here. If it is, don't click it again because it will charge you again, and we don't really want to have to deal with that. So going forward, state broadband stuff, if we need that, we'll probably address that later. For now, let's just do the works. And then we're going to go check out. This should take you to the Stripe checkout page, and we won't waste time filling this out. I'm just going to do this offline and come back to you. Okay, so I went ahead and filled out the cart and paid and everything, and it took me to a link that I could click, and it brings me back to the application here. So first thing you want to do is make sure you're in the right date here. And that would be the June 31st date. And so we're going to click that. And so the dashboard has changed a little bit. Again, this is a test account. We've already been doing some things. So some of these statuses might have been green for a second there. I went ahead and reset those. So what you're going to see, though, if you've done this before, if you filled out information for us before, you're still going to have the same sections you had previously. But we have gone in and unchecked all the boxes in those sections because obviously those aren't complete for this period. So we do maintain your sites and APs and that kind of thing. For this period, though, we did uncheck the boxes. So it just makes you go in and review those, and you can just recheck the boxes and things. On the fiber, same thing. And you will need to upload a new broadband file because that has changed for this new period. And we are going to require a subscriber spreadsheet for this period, and that template has changed a little bit. And we have this new RF throughput settings, and we're going to go through all these just a little bit, brief overview. And again, we will come back and do detailed videos on each section. So the filer information. This is your basic information about your company, what kind of technologies you're using. So you just need to check the appropriate boxes here. If you're using CN Heat, we don't need your sites and APs, but we do need your CN Heat polygon. So if you check this box, that's going to open up a polygon upload section on the dashboard. If you're filing voice, we do need your 499 number. We highly recommend that you get that if you don't have it and you're using voice. Allowing your information to be shared with a third party. This is if you have like a financial institution that you've borrowed money from and they need to make sure you're in compliance, that this allows us to send them that compliance information. Also, if you are a government entity like a public utility district or a county or city or something that's providing broadband services, you need to check this box. The rest of this should be pretty self-explanatory. For contacts, if you will need to add your contacts, so there won't be anything in these drop downs until you add your contacts. So you're going to need to add them all. And just name, title, email, phone extension. Pretty basic stuff. If you don't have an extension, leave it blank, obviously. Filing info. So this is your FRN and your core's username and password. And we do need these because we are going to be filing on your behalf. We have to be able to log in. So that's the quick and dirty on the info page. Once you fill that out, save it, you come back to the dashboard. It should have a green check mark. That's all good. So for the next section, so this is for wireless filers. And so we're just going to go over this briefly. We do keep track of wireless sites and APs separately. In the past, you had to create your sites first and then APs, or you had to upload sites first and then upload your APs. This time, if you have a handful of sites, we do recommend just coming in here and adding them manually. It's really simple. The site form is basic. It's only a few blanks, and then you can add your APs as well. The APs have a little bit more data, and we'll get into that in a second. But if you only have, say, 5 or 6 sites, it's probably just as fast to do it manually in here as it is to upload a document. So we do have a site template. You can upload sites through a template, but you don't have to. If you're doing APs, you have a lot of APs, we will create the sites from the AP template. So you only need to use the AP template if you want to put in everything. We do ask that you be sure to be consistent with your site names in that AP template, because if you misspell a site name or you capitalize it differently, if it's different at all, we're going to create a different site. So if you have 3 APs and the tower name is slightly different for one of them, it's going to actually create two APs on one tower and one AP on a different tower that happens to be at the same lat long. So we want to try to avoid that stuff if possible. Just try to be consistent with your names. If you already have sites in, if the towers don't match, then we're going to create another tower that has the same name. So if you use some kind of abbreviation in the AP sheet and you had a full name of a tower, otherwise, it's going to ignore that full name of the tower and just use whatever's in the AP sheet. So just keep that in mind. It's best to not have any towers already in the system if you're going to upload your access points through a template, because it will create them for you. So we'll just briefly look at an AP just so you can see what that looks like. We do require a lot of information about the AP. Obviously, we're doing some RF studies here, so we need all this information. So just be sure that you get all this information in. It really is required. So we'll just go back here. Once you're done uploading your sites and APs, just check these boxes and that will tell us you're done with those. And if you go back to your dashboard, you can see that these are complete. So the next section we're going to look at is the new section, which is the RF and throughput settings. We're going to just briefly touch on this. I'm going to give you a little explanation, and then we're going to create another video that really goes into detail about what all this is. But basically what we're doing with this filing is we're trying to get as accurate as possible for every location and how we can service that and what kind of throughputs we can actually service it for. In the past, we've only asked you for the maximum per AP, but that's not really that accurate. That's great for, a quick and dirty thing like the 477. That was great because we could put in a maximum and that would keep people out of your area because you could say you provided that speed all over. What we're doing now is we're actually providing a speed tiers based on your plans and what signal is required to deliver those speeds. So we also allow you to put in your standard CPE height. The BDC program really wants you to keep it under 23 feet. We would recommend that. If you do installs regularly that are over that height, for instance, we have one customer who uses 40-foot poles and they stock them. They do every one of their installs is 40 feet. In that case, I would say you could go ahead and put that in here. But the BDC and their documentation says they want 23 feet at the maximum height for propagation. So, and then the antenna gain, we recommend you use whatever your typical antenna gain is. If you use some high gain dishes on a lot of your installs, go ahead and put that in here because that just gives you that much more advantage when we're looking at the signal strength and everything here. If you don't do that typically, if it's a special order and it takes 7 to 10 days or something like that just to order the antenna, then don't use it. If it's only a once or twice kind of thing that you do, otherwise go ahead and put in whatever the highest gain in antenna you use at your CPE location. So, and then the minimum signal to noise ratio, we recommend you get with your vendor on this if you don't know what this is, or 10 dB is a pretty good number just to put in as an average signal to noise ratio. Now, the speed tiers, these are done by the frequency band. You'll notice there's a frequency band up here. You can add all the bands. We have pretty much everything the fixed wireless people are using. So 900 megahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, 2.5 educational licensed, the 3.65 license band or CBRS, and that goes for whether or not you have a PAL license or GAA. They still consider that licensed. And then 5 gigahertz. We also do have some 60 gigahertz as well. So you can create all these bands and then you just add your speed tiers and what the minimum signal thresholds that are required for you to install a customer to be able to get these speeds. So this would be if you want to deliver 100 by 25, you're going to have to get neg 65 or it's just not going to deliver these speeds reliably. So the next tier would be neg 70 and you can reliably deliver 50 by 20. And then 75, you can reliably deliver 25 by 10. So that's just really the quick explanation of what this is. We'll go into the setup on this later and how to actually get all these into your system for your different bands. For now, we're just going to go ahead and say it's done. We'll check the box. And if you go back to the dashboard, here we are. You have your sites, APs, and throughput settings are done. So the next section would be your polygons for wireline type stuff. So this would be fiber, coax, whatever you might have. So let's just go ahead and click this. So just so you're aware, you can either click the tiles on the dashboard or navigate over here on the left as well. Just depends on what you like to do. So to add the fiber polygon, what we ask is that you use one of these formats, either Esri shapefile, KMLs, or a GeoJSON format. And basically, these polygons can either be like a shape that you draw around a neighborhood, for instance, or some area that you're providing service, or these could be the actual routes. So your paths along the lines or along the roads that you actually run your fiber or coax or whatever it might be. So this would be like where you trench or the poles that you're stringing. If you have lines on a map that show those routes, you can give those to us as well. And what we'll do is create a buffer around those to encompass the homes along those routes so that we can determine what addresses you serve. So there's a couple parts here. If you want to add some polygons, you do have to specify the technology, and then you give us the maximum download and upload speeds for this particular polygon. So pretty easy. And then you just choose your file, upload it. This is a manual process for us on the back end. And so once you upload this file, it's going to actually notify us that we have to go in and process this file for you. So it's important to get these in early because it is a manual process. We need to get these done, and it does require a person. So just to be aware of that. We're not going to upload one for now. We're just going to cancel this and say we did, just for the purposes of this video. So now we're done with this. And now comes probably what's the most important section, because we can't really do anything without it. And that's your broadband fabric files and your subscribers. So they're both in the same section here. The first part of this is the subscription data, right? So this is your subscribers sheet. And once again, we don't take the subscription files from the billing systems anymore. We used to do this because they were pretty accurate for the most part, but now they have new technology codes. Most of the billing systems haven't upgraded to be able to handle those because they are based on bands and whether or not they're licensed and things like that. And most of the systems just don't have that information in, or at least not in a way that's convenient to do analysis on to generate a report and things like that. So what we have to do is get every subscriber and their addresses, because we are doing address matching as well this time, just to make sure that all the locations that you currently service are able to be reported. In the past, we found that sometimes we came up with locations that people were actually servicing that we didn't think were qualified because there was some obstruction or something, or there was a special case that didn't really meet the BDC, propagation requirements to be serviceable, but people were servicing that in some way, and they wanted those addresses reported. So we are going to do the address matching this time. So because of that, we actually have to know every address that you service currently. So we do need that subscriber sheet. You don't have to put names or anything in there, no identifying information. You can just put random numbers, or as long as they're unique, or like their customer ID from your billing system, whatever it might be. So, but we do need those in that file. You can download that template here, or you can download it from our webpage at the link we showed you at the beginning of the video. So again, this is pretty much just a simple upload. As long as the sheet's filled out correctly, you shouldn't have any problems. So you just choose your file, upload it, and you're done. And that's all there is to it. So you would just check this box, say you're done. After you upload it, you'll see the file here in this table. Same thing for the broadband fabric files. This has changed a little bit as well this time, because they are now providing 3 files. They used to provide 2 files, a primary and then a secondary. Now they're providing 3 files, and then here's the difference. One says BSL in the name of the file, and the other one says no BSL. So the difference with those is that the BSL stands for broadband service location. And if that flag is set to true, then those addresses are able to be reported. If they're not set to true, then they can't be reported. So what they've done is they've split those out for you, so you don't have the non-true BSL in the file anymore. So you don't really have to use it. Not even sure why they give it to you. We really don't understand that, other than they just want you to have the full address list. Maybe, I don't know, because they won't accept the addresses from it. So we don't want that file. So the only file we want you to upload is the one that says BSL in it, not the no BSL. So just keep that in mind when you're uploading. You choose the file. Once again, it's pretty simple, basic stuff to upload a file. So once that file is uploaded, it's going to show here. And then you just check this box, let us know you're done. And when you come back to the dashboard, voila, everything's green and we're good to go. So at this point, we should be able to file for you, if not immediately, at least within a couple of days, depending on how many polygons we have to do and that kind of stuff. The wireless, once you check these boxes, that is an automated process. It should be running already, as long as you have all your other data uploaded. So that's the basic rundown of the dashboard and all the information you have to upload. We do have one more section to this, and that is the map. This, unfortunately, on this test demo, we don't have enough sites and we don't have anything to upload for the fabric data. So I'm going to come back to a account that actually will allow us to show you some information. So I will be right back with that. Okay, so here is a map where we have some sites and APs and things already in the system, and we've done some analysis already. So there's lots of layers on the map. We have a layer control system over here. You can put different base layers on. You can even view the clutter, which is pretty cool. This is a 10-meter clutter overlay. Um, we can see our sites, obviously, which are showing, and these are all wireless sites. And then you can look at your APs. We have what we call our kind of uniform AP view. So what this is showing is just all your APs, and they're color coded by frequency. These are random colors, but we do obviously the same frequency as the same random color. We just look at every frequency in your database and create a random color for it, and then we shade these by that. So we also have this view that we call our frequency view, which shows the kind of the radial coverage that you've said that these APs can cover, how far out. This gets a little busy, obviously. There's a lot of overlap here, so it's kind of hard to tell what's what. It does give you a pretty good idea, though, of how much overlap you might have between APs. So it could be interesting to pare these down a little bit just to make sure you're only servicing really where you want to. And this might help you actually with things like down tilt and whatnot. We'll get into this in more detail later. Just wanted to kind of give you a quick overview here. If you had CN heat polygons, we could turn those on. This one doesn't have them. The wireless bands. So this looks a lot like those APs. In fact, if I turn those back on, they're going to match right up to it. So we basically use all those radii from those APs and create this one big kind of blob, which is your general coverage area. And then we also have fiber, and so if you had other technologies in here, DSL cable, whatever, you would get layers for those as well. But you can see on the map you have this fiber area. This is a polygon that we generated based on a buffer around a route, and then one of the things you can see here is the actual locations that we determined you could service based on that. So that's something you can see. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off real quick just to tell you what else we can see here. So you can also look at all your BDC locations. So every one of these little red dots is an address that was reported to you in your BDC files that you got from CostQuest. And just clicking on one, you can see the location information about it, the address. And we also have our serviceable location. So once we do the analysis for you, you can actually see the serviceable locations too. Now we have some neat analysis tools in here. So if you were to click on any one of these dots, it's going to go out and actually show you all the profiles that we use to determine the serviceability of this location, right? So once again, it's going to show you the APs that we considered. You can turn this off so it's not so busy. So if you want to turn off the shapes, you can. And so now you're just looking at the line of sight profiles. And we also have this window here that shows you the best AP that was able to service this location and all the statistics about that. So it'll show you the free space path loss, all the parameters that were put into the system by you, and then our line losses, which we always use is about 2 dB, and then the clutter losses. So it looks like this one's going through a little bit of clutter, and then the total received signal level, and then the minimum install. So this is from that new section for your settings, right? So we said in that setting, you have a 60 by 12 for this particular one, and a minimum install at -90. And I think this is an LTE site, which is why this is such a low signal. But most of the time for fixed wireless, it's not going to be that low and still be serviceable. But just wanted to let you know that. So this is serviceable. If you want to look at any of the others, we can certainly pull these up and see the analysis on these two and why they didn't work, or why they weren't chosen, even if they did work. So it looks like on this particular one, there's not any others that really worked. And, maybe you could find another site here that actually has multiples that do work. So this one's taking a little while because it had a whole lot of APs that could see it. And So this one, you can see once again, this one is neg 76. Its minimum install was 90, so it definitely works. Once again, this was an LTE site. Looks like some of these others might work on this one. We'll see. No, that one doesn't. But you get the idea. We can go through and find, look at all of these profiles and see why they did or did not work, and the reasoning behind that. You can also look at any site. So these are obviously the green ones are serviceable. You can also go down and look at the unserviceable and do the same thing, the profiles on those. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and close our profiles here. And then we'll just look at one of these red dots and see what we get. So you'll notice there's a qualify in the tooltip. You just click the qualify, and it's going to go out and run the same profiles that we ran for the other one. And this one happens to be serviceable. If it happened to be serviceable and we'd already done the analysis, it's going to pop this window up again. If one of these dots was not, if it was not serviceable, then we wouldn't be showing you that. We would just show you the profiles, and then you could go look at each individual profile to see if it was serviceable or not from that AP. So basically, that's the quick and dirty on the map. You can certainly come in here and play with this all you want and do all the modeling and looking at all the profiles. So here's one that was not serviceable by anything. So because we didn't get the little window up here. And we can see why. So this one, total received signal, must have a lot of clutter because this is really, really low. And then this one here, similar, neg 170, definitely not going to work. And we can look at this one. This one looks like it might have worked, but it's not. This is a 2 gigahertz or probably 2.4 really. This is just his name of his AP. But if you look at the frequency, yeah, it's 2.412. And the way he had his threshold set up, he wanted a neg 68, I think, or better, if I remember right, on these to get this signal. So this just didn't work because it was just too low to be able to provide any throughput. So you can definitely see the value in this and how it might help you do some analysis and figure out where things are and why you can't service certain addresses. So if you have any other questions about this, or you need some help, or you want to get a little more detail, we are going to be making a more detailed video about all this. And certainly you can call us and talk to us too about it directly. So that pretty much wraps up our demo video. Again, we're going to be doing some more detailed videos. Please keep a lookout for those. And if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. We would love to help you out with your BDC filings, and we look forward to hearing from you.